Imagine this for a second. You're sitting at home, maybe scrolling through your phone or watching TV, and suddenly a headline pops up that makes you stop in your tracks. It says something like this: Michael Jackson's rumored love child will represent America at the Moscow Song Contest. Wait, what? You'd probably blink twice, maybe even laugh, and then wonder, is this real? Or just another wild rumor about Michael? Because let's be honest, when it comes to Michael Jackson, we've seen a lot of unbelievable stories over the years. Some turned out to have a little truth, but most were just headlines meant to grab attention. Still, this one feels different. It sounds so big, so dramatic, that you can't help but lean in and want to know more. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever had that feeling where you just know there's more to a story than what you're being told? Like when you hear a rumor at school, at work, or even in your own family. Sometimes the surface story is exciting, but the truth is way more complicated. That's kind of what's happening here. This rumor about Michael Jackson's supposed love child stepping onto a global stage, it's one of those things that makes you curious, even if you don't fully believe it yet. And honestly, you're not alone. Millions of fans feel the same way. So here's the deal. Today we're going to dig into this wild headline together. We'll break it down step by step, we'll talk about who this person is supposed to be, why the Moscow Song Contest is even involved, and what fans are saying about it all. And trust me, by the end of this conversation, you're going to see why stories like this keep popping up, years after Michael Jackson's passing. So stick with me, because this is going to be one fascinating ride. Okay, let's start at the very beginning. It all kicked off with a headline that shocked fans around the world. Out of nowhere, whispers started appearing on blogs, forums, and social media: Michael Jackson's secret son is finally stepping into the spotlight. You can imagine the reaction, right? If you're a lifelong fan of Michael, hearing something like this immediately makes your heart skip a beat. Even if you're just someone who casually enjoys his music, like humming along to Billie Jean in the car, the rumor is still enough to grab your attention. Michael Jackson wasn't just a singer, he was a global icon. Everything tied to his name feels larger than life, so naturally, this kind of news makes people sit up straighter and want to know more. And then came the big question: who is this so-called love child? According to the rumors, it's a young performer who supposedly has a striking resemblance to Michael. Some fans pointed out that his voice has that same silky smooth tone Michael was known for. Others said his dance moves look a little too familiar, almost like they were passed down. It's easy to see why people would latch on to that idea. But at the same time, we can't ignore the fact that this might just be a clever stunt. After all, showbiz is full of people who will do just about anything to get the spotlight before a major event. And that brings us to the next big question: why now? Why at the Moscow Song Contest? Well, here's where things get really interesting. The Moscow Song Contest is a global stage. It's competitive, it's high profile, and it's watched by millions. If you were trying to make a splash, if you wanted the world to pay attention, what better way than to connect yourself to Michael Jackson's name? It creates instant buzz, instant drama, and yes, instant controversy. And let's be honest with ourselves for a second. Controversy sells. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned artist, a brand new face, or even someone with a rumor tied to your name. If people are talking about you, then you've already won half the battle. So of course, the fan reactions came in fast and loud. The internet basically exploded. Some fans were over the moon, saying things like, "This is Michael's legacy living on. His bloodline is stepping into the spotlight." They wanted to believe it because the idea felt comforting, like a piece of Michael was still with us. On the other hand, plenty of fans were skeptical. They said, "We've seen hoaxes like this before. We've seen imposters, we've seen fake claims, and we've seen people use Michael's name to get attention." And honestly, can you really blame them? Over the years, dozens of people have come forward claiming to be connected to Michael in one way or another. Some disappeared after their story fell apart. Others stuck around, trying to keep the attention going. But the truth? It's always messy. Now let's pause here for a second. Because whether this young performer is really related to Michael or not, there are some important things we can take away from this situation. For one, legacy is powerful. Another thing to remember is that talent speaks louder than rumors. At the end of the day, if this singer really has what it takes, then the performance itself will tell the story. Fans can be forgiving. They can overlook controversy, they can move past skepticism, if the art feels genuine. Think about artists like Bruno Mars. At one point, people compared him to Michael Jackson. Not because of bloodlines, not because of family ties, but because his brilliance on stage reminded people of Michael. Talent, real talent, always shines through. And here's one more important tip: follow the money. Experts will tell you, in showbiz, if you want to know what's really going on, follow where the money is flowing. If a story makes headlines, and suddenly ticket sales or streaming numbers spike, that's usually not an accident. Controversy can be planned. It can be packaged. And sometimes it's used to turn an unknown name into a household name overnight. So we're left with this big question. Is this headline about truth, or is it just about turning a rumor into a golden ticket? And that's where you come in, because I really want to know what you think. Do you believe this story? Do you think Michael Jackson might actually have a hidden love child who's ready to step onto the global stage? Or do you think this is just another example of clever marketing, using Michael's name to sell tickets and capture attention? I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I know the MJ fan community has some strong opinions about this kind of thing. So drop your thoughts in the comments, I'll be reading them. And who knows, your perspective might even change the way other fans see this story. And hey, before you go, if you enjoyed diving into this rumor with me, you'll definitely want to check out our other video on the untold stories of Michael Jackson's personal life. Trust me, it's full of twists and turns that you won't believe until you hear them. But before we wrap this up, let me just say this. Michael Jackson was one of a kind. Whether this rumor is true or not, his influence is still everywhere. From the way people dance, to the way artists perform, to the way headlines still use his name to grab attention, it all shows how powerful his legacy really is. So if you had a good time hanging out with me today, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and maybe share this with a friend who still moonwalks across the kitchen floor. Because let's be honest, we all know someone like that. Thanks for spending this time with me. I appreciate you being here. And I'll see you in the next one.